got you. Yep, got you. That's all it's all.
What up, everybody? We are live Northwest Stadium, where the Washington Commanders just put a beat down on the Tennessee Titans. I can't imagine, legitimately, this thing went about as well as it could going into the bye, coming off a 3-game losing streak. I'm JP Fenley, joined the big man, Mr. Mitch Tischler. We're brought to you by MGM National Harbor, as always. Final score, 42-19. They missed 2 field goals. I mean, they almost put up 50. Absolute butt kicking. I don't know what I'm allowed to say on a stream.
Butt kicking, I think, is okay.
And it was exactly what they needed. Honestly, the start was exactly what they needed. 21-0 in the first quarter, 28-0 in the second. They gave up the touchdown just before halftime, but they looked great. They turned the ball over. They took advantage of the turnovers. Just a really like a 95 out of 100 win.
We talked on the podcast.
Maybe a 96, so then it's an A+.
There you go. We talked on the podcast this week about robbing banks and stepping on throats and needing to make sure that a team that doesn't want to compete in a football game, you take away their will early, and that's exactly what the Commanders did today. They scored on their first 3 possessions for the first time since a 2000 game against the Dallas Cowboys. That's 24 years ago.
Their first 4 possessions.
Certainly there's some nits you can pick if you want to get at the field goal kicking. I think it points out how good Austin Seibert has been.
Field goal kicker's a problem. They're going to address it during the bye. Bang. Nit-picked.
Gonzo.
From Gonzo to Gonzo.
Exactly.
Shout out to Danny Frank. Happy birthday. They scored
bud.
on their first 4 touchdowns.
First 4 possessions.
Touchdowns on 4.
The fact that they were able to take those turnovers and turn them into points was so important. You saw this Tennessee Titans team come in as a team that was struggling. They had their Super Bowl last week, beating the Houston Texans, former Texans, Oilers, all that stuff. Came in today, and Washington reminded them, "Hey, you're 3-8 for a reason. We're 7-5 for a reason."
Right.
And went from there.
Well, and you saw Kingsbury right off the top line up Terry on the right side, call his number on the first play of the game. Then you see B-Rob able to get loose on the 3rd play from scrimmage for Washington. It was hard to imagine a better beginning for this thing. Terry was involved throughout. Terry was dominant throughout. Brian Robinson was really good throughout. And it started defensively. I mean, the Titans' first 2 possessions, it was punt. They ran 8 plays total for negative 12 yards. The defense was flying to the ball early. Brian Robinson, you see the difference it makes when he's healthy. I thought, you and I know you're going to get excited about this, so I feel like I should save it.
Very, very excited.
Cornelius Lucas was really good.
A revelation.
Made a big difference.
Yes.
All their counter stuff was working. That Tennessee D-line is good. They were able to run the ball down their throats. Most rushing yards they've had since 2012.
B-Rob had 60-plus yards in the first quarter.
Right.
I mean, it was really good. And I felt like Cliff Kingsbury came out. There were a lot of questions about his offense lead going into it. Line up Terry on the right side, get him the ball early in the game, got the offense moving, and then they run that play to the right, the counter to the right, right behind Cornelius Lucas. You're looking at an offensive coordinator and an offense that took all the nits that people were picking about them and put it away early.
And Jayden just got asked about that, and he was totally dismissive. He's like, "That's for you guys to figure out."
Of course,
but it had to feel good on so many different levels. You could tell, McLaurin, I think, is a little more honest than just being a veteran. He's like, "Yeah, we needed that. It felt great." Not that there was pressure or urgency or any of these words that we assigned to it, but just to get a win before you go into your bye week. What was your question to Jayden? Because the answer was awesome.
Yeah, I just asked him, "Hey, how important is it to get a win going into the bye week?" And he was frank.
He was like, "Man, I didn't want to go to the bye week on a L.
Not 4 in a row. I'll tell you that much."
Right.
That first touchdown run by B-Rob was so beautiful to me because it was just a perfectly blocked play by the entire offense. You had on the right side, you had Luke and Cosme crash down. Then you had Coleman and Allegretti pulling around the side, and then downfield you had Noah Brown and John Bates both blocking to make that 40-yard TD happen. I mean, I bet if you were to get Bobby Johnson or Cliff Kingsbury, some truth serum, they would say that might have been the best blocked play they've had this season. It was chef's kiss. Beautiful.
It was great. I mean, the Jayden touchdown run last week on that Ben Sennett block, the way they sealed the left side.
And early in the season, there were a couple real nice ones too. But
just a really tremendous game when they needed it. I don't care. You tell me how much you care. I do not care whatsoever if they're beating bad teams. Play the teams on your schedule, dude.
Zero.
And Tennessee just beat Houston. If you want to play that game, they needed to win bad. Tennessee showed up. I was a little worried about the atmosphere. The lower bowl crowd was awesome.
Great.
They were
gave
awesome.
out. It was very funny. The giveaway at the stadium today were those little race hail flags.
Yeah.
After all the flag planting yesterday in college football, it was quite funny to walk in. But contrary to when they gave out the burgundy towels, you could really see the flags flying after the big plays. The crowd was into it. They were loud. They were into it. It was a beautiful thing. And the team gave them a lot to cheer about, which, helps a fair amount when you're trying to make this thing happen.
Dude, I mean, to be able to jump into the lead like that so fast.
Quite literally, B-Rob jumped almost over our good friend Chris Kerwin, who was shooting a video right on the sideline.
Dude, I mean, just listen to their first 5 possessions. Punt, fumble, punt.
Midway through the first half, the Commanders had 16 first downs and the Titans had 13 yards.
Right.
I mean, 13 plays.
Dude,
that's a tough L.
Just about the 2-minute warning, the Commanders had 237 yards and the Titans had 37. And they had a 200-yard gap on him in the first half.
Yeah.
Pretty remarkable.
And Jayden did both with his arms and his legs. I mean, he was efficient running the football.
Yeah.
He did a really good job. We saw early season Jayden running the ball. He was running up the middle. He was able to find himself a little bit of room. I think the offensive line did an incredible job of opening up some of those holes for him.
You know what I don't understand,
he looked
Mitch?
really, really good. What's up?
Why don't we move this closer? We always have it far away, and I have to step there and back.
Because we're trying to keep it out of the shot.
I don't think it's going to be in the shot.
Well,
we'll find out. Watch out, though. Your mic's under there, though.
I'm good.
The couple things I wanted to talk about. Terry, he got it his rookie season. His career high was 7 touchdowns. He's at 9 this year with 4 games to play.
It's the first competent quarterback play he's had since he's been here. So
and consistent. Not only have the quarterbacks generally been bad, but there's also been injuries. The guys getting benched. A
lot of O-line issues as well.
To have one dude pretty much all year is a big deal. I think McLaurin's really showing the kind of player he is, what he's capable of doing. He's going to get to double digits. Probably the first time a Commanders Washington wide receivers had double digits since '91. I think.
Is that really true?
I don't know. I have to confirm that.
I agree. It's been
right
a
now
long
at
time.
9, the last guy to even get to 9 was Santana. So he's already kind of getting into some different categories here.
And the thing about Terry, real quick, is we talked about him getting that first catch on the right side. Obviously, all the complaints are about him only lining up on the left. Whatever that may be, it is, but it shows you how important it is to get the ball to Terry early on in the game. And I think I think part of it was the Tennessee Titans defense was, put in really bad spots. But getting Terry the ball, I think, opened up things in the middle for B-Rob. I think also for Jayden using his legs around the outside. I think you just saw a lot of different ways that this offense can operate. And we saw what this offense looked like early in the season. And I think that's really important to have that kind of, momentum as you go into this bye week. Because, hey, there's 4 games left in this regular season, and I'll say it, I'd be very surprised that they're not in the playoffs.
Yeah. That was even the expectation going in. I don't think it's much of a surprise.
If it was still going down. As the offense was struggling. Right. Yeah. As the offense was struggling, I think there was questions whether this team would be a playoff team as we move forward.
Yeah, if you look around the league today, now that we've seen some results come in.
It was a great day results-wise for this team as well.
Yeah, they're pretty firm in that 7 spot, unless the Packers or the Vikings kind of fall apart.
Right.
There's not...
the people below them didn't.
Yeah.
The
Atlanta
Cardinals,
falling apart doesn't seem like bad news.
The Falcons fell apart. The Cardinals choked away the game against
Somebody's
the Vikings.
got to win that division, but you ideally don't want anybody to pile up wins. The Seahawks beat the Jets, so that probably puts them. The Seahawks are now a game clear of Arizona in the West, and.
Yeah, I'm mostly talking about, and somebody's going to win the South. I don't know, what's going to happen there. The Bucs are in a tight game right now.
The Saints all of a sudden are back in it. That Saints game's not going to be for nothing when we get down there in 2 weeks.
At the half.
Yeah.
Well, it's not going to be for nothing because that's probably going to be the first time we see Marshawn Lattimore.
Right.
I imagine that guy's going to be a little excited for that football game. What do you think?
Totally. Sure. I don't know that will be like the deciding factor in it, but yeah, I think he's going to be.
You never know. But
right. Yeah. And dude, we haven't had a pod since they cut Forbes.
Yeah.
A lot of people have asked me about this. They couldn't play him. He couldn't be on the field. He was such a liability against the run that it was 11 on 10 against the run. And they got to a point he had been inactive 3 or 4 times this season.
Right.
people want to be shocked because of the draft position, but that draft position stuff only lasts till there's 6 or 8 games on film. And, dude, Ron drafted him and made him inactive last year. They had to bench him in Philly after, I mean, legitimately, didn't A.J. Brown make him cry?
Cry like, on the side. I mean,
he's a nice young man, and I hope he gets picked up and it goes great, but until he gains a level of physicality that I'm not sure is coming, and gains a level of willingness to display that physicality.
That's, to me, yeah. It's from time to time you would see him stick his nose in there, but it was only from time to time.
Extremely rare.
Consistency is super important in the NFL, period, but certainly to this coaching staff. And they also put Austin Eckler on IR, which I think is noteworthy. You know, obviously,
I don't think it's much of a surprise, honestly.
Minimum 4 games, so earliest we could see him is week 17.
Yeah.
You know, that's going to be something that we're going to have to.
That'd be Atlanta here.
And that Atlanta game could be an important football game.
Sure.
As you look at,
there's 4 left, and you're fighting for playoff spots. They're all important now.
But they're all against teams that you are fighting directly. Maybe the Saints, we'll see what happens with them. But outside of the Saints, they're all teams that...
Well, they're all conference games, and then one of the tiebreakers is conference, and then clearly division games. So, there's not going to be... Dude, this is what we've all said we wanted, is important football late in the year. Like, we're getting it.
We're talking about real football, and I love it.
I was thinking about this just as like a level set. If in August the topic was... hey, the Skins definitely have their quarterback of the future. They're 8-5 at the bye, and it's all going to be about playoff seeding and where they're going to go. Nothing's done. You're not stopping anything. You're not lowering your expectations, but holy moly, what a great season.
So this weekend, Thanksgiving weekend, out of the bar a couple different nights. Had a couple Tito's, as you know, we'll do from time to time.
I've seen it.
And folks were, kept asking, like, are you worried about the team? Are you scared? Are you nervous? This, that, and the other thing. I just always pointed out, like, if at the beginning of the season I told you this team was 7-5 in the middle of a playoff chase and Jayden Daniels looked like the real deal, would you be concerned? Would you be sitting here asking me about concerns, or would you be super excited about the direction of this franchise? And I think you just have to understand that as good as things were early and as bad as things were last week, everything in the NFL ebbs and flows, ups and downs. There's going to be a middle ground, and I think you saw the best of the team early on in that Bengals Cardinals. I think you saw the worst against the Cowboys last week, and hopefully they can start making their way back up to the mountain and start playing good football before the playoffs.
Well, dude, you saw really good football today.
Yes.
So yes. I think the only thing that I kind of was troubled by was the Cowboys loss. The Eagles, they got outclassed.
The Steelers were worrisome. Just the 10-point lead. Yeah, that stinks.
But,
either way, back
they
to
had
today.
to rebound today. They rebounded today. There's some stuff I wanted to run through. I thought we'll get to game balls and everything. I thought Frankie Louvu was just fantastic.
Yes.
I thought he was really, really good. Defensively, they got off to such a good start that they're just flying the ball. And Levis can make some beautiful throws. He made some big plays as the game went on. He was awful early. At one point, he was 3 of 5 for 3 yards, and one of the completions was to an offensive lineman on a tipped ball.
I'm never going to complain about a catch by an offensive lineman.
He was awful.
Yeah, listen. I was
Tony
saying
Pollard picked a great day to have a bad day.
You can't lose to a guy who puts mayo in coffee.
Right.
And that's Will Levis's world. Chikakonkwo, it was great to see him, catch a couple footballs, and it was great to see him catching the ball versus Westbrook Akine or Calvin Ridley, guys who can really do some damage. But Chikakonkwo is a Maryland dude. We love the Terps, so that was good to see.
I had a stat.
Okay, go ahead.
No, Bobby Wagner now has over 100 tackles in 13 straight seasons, which is incredible. The only dude with more is London Fletcher. So Wagner's going to go to the Hall of Fame. You like to think that means London maybe one day will go.
Post-game, Bobby said that in his scrum when I got asked about it, that London belongs in. We talked about it with the other Commanders, with the other Burgundy and Gold alumni who are not in the Hall of Fame, who probably should be, B. Mitch included.
Yeah, maybe Gary Clark.
It counts when
Joe Jacoby.
That's right. That's my guy. But it counts when guys who are looked at as Hall of Famers talk about you in that ilk.
Active players.
And I think it's important that Bobby Wagner brings it up if you're thinking big picture about London. But Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louvu have just been so great this year, and the passion and power that Louvu plays on the field with. Some of those hits he was laying today, for whatever reason or whatever the result was, there were a lot of big hits. This was two teams that were getting after it. Right, it wasn't just one direction.
Do you know how Louvu usually jokes about drinking tequila after big wins?
Yeah.
But I don't know if you were in there for that. Luvu and Marcus Mariota and Tavita Pritchard, the quarterback's coach, are leading like a
Polynesian.
Yeah, there's going to have like a Polynesian day at go see Moana 2.
Yeah.
So I don't know where they're seeing it. Tyson's wrestling. I don't know. But it's going to be a whole bunch of Commanders folks going to see Moana 2.
I promise you're not going to Tyson's because that's where the new stadium should be. If it's not RFK, it's got to be in Tyson's.
People are going to like believe you. Don't say these things.
I know. It's a
real question. Have you seen Moana 1?
No.
It's good.
I'm sure it is.
It's legit good.
Listen,
I like Moana.
Disney
Seems
movies.
Like Bill's seen it. He's nodding his head.
Disney movies aren't really in my wheelhouse at the moment. I have a couple of nieces and nephews. Maybe I would take them to go see some of these. They got me to watch. What's the Let It Go? What's
Frozen.
that? Frozen.
Yeah.
I got to watch a little bit of Frozen, so that was the first time I saw it. Maybe about a week or two ago.
Also good.
Or a month or two ago.
I think I like Moana better.
Oh, interesting.
But Frozen may have been greeted with more popular acclaim. I don't know, but
I think the song made it. I'm sure Moana has a song.
Moana's
as well.
got a banger.
Does it?
That song, Bill. You know?
Yeah, something like that.
I don't know the words.
Anyway, back
Where
to
I'll go, something like that.
Let It Go.
No, it's
go.
Where I'll Go, I think.
Oh, well.
Let It Go is Frozen.
It's Frozen.
Where I'll Go is Moana.
Back to football. One thing that I thought was interesting before the game, Fedarian Mathis was a healthy scratch, which he hasn't been playing particularly well. You look at PFF grades, whatever they are. This coaching staff is making a point, and they started in training camp. When they don't think a guy can help them, they start moving on. I think you look at the Emmanuel Forbes thing, but on top of Fedarian Mathis not being active, Sheldon Day led the midfield huddle before the game. And he's a veteran defensive tackle, and I just thought that was kind of an interesting, point between the two D tackles. One guy's inactive. Now this guy's stepping up and leading. And I talked to Sheldon after the game. I didn't know if did Dan Quinn assign somebody to do that? Is it just, whoever has the moment? Because it's been kind of different guys all the time. It used to be John Allen, every game the past couple seasons. Yeah. And he was just like, no. He's like, man, I just felt like I had something I wanted to say. I stepped up and I wanted to say it. And when you talk to the guys in the locker room,
I think they built a culture where everybody can do that.
And when you talk to the guys in the locker room, it's great to have the culture where everyone can talk and be a part of it. But I think also when the guys who are veterans in the league, whether they are the Bobby Wagner, Zach Ertz's, or you start going down the guys who aren't future Hall of Famers,
right.
Feeling that they have the power to stand up. It's an important part to recovering from a 3-game losing streak, finding the joy in the game. Bobby Wagner addressed the team earlier this week. I just think there's a lot of good cultural stuff here. And, Dan Quinn, there's a lot of talk the past 4 years about culture, and I hate that word because of it. But Dan Quinn has done a really good job of getting all these players to buy in. I'm
all for that. I think it's more important that they scored off turnovers.
Sure.
But, I'm with you.
Yes, as a secondary or even third or fourth storyline to this. They created turnovers. They scored off turnovers.
Totally.
And, oh, by the way, the guys like each other.
Right. They created.
Right.
I just look back to that Pittsburgh game. You said it earlier. They're up 10 in the third quarter, and you generate 2 turnovers and can't score. You got to play complementary football to some degree. They did it today. Special teams wasn't really there, but I think they're gonna. I think they'll make a move. I don't think anybody was even engaged to Gonzo, let alone married.
I thought Mikey Sanders still causing that fumble early on was so important. He got beat by the touchdown right before halftime by Westbrook Akini.
Corners are gonna get beat.
Right.
He's playing out of position.
And
anyway.
Westbrook Akini is he averages something like 1 touchdown for every 5 targets, which is just banana land. And he's stepped up all season, and Sandersville has been a big part of this defense. It was great to see the turnover. It was great to recover.
Are you just trying to talk to the video here? Is that why you just started talking about Sandersville, or did that just happen?
There are producers back. Corey and Kyle do an incredible job of queuing up video to what we're talking about.
It's well done.
So it is. It's incredibly well done.
Do you want to get to game balls and stuff?
Real
Since
quick,
you're randomly just talking about Mikey Sandersville?
I just wanted to finish I love it because Sandersville's a Michigan alum. Michigan beat Ohio State this weekend.
Yeah.
Sandersville brought
Clearly
Michigan
they
jersey.
Had a bet.
Clearly, but what were the stakes of that bet? Because these guys are hardcore football players. I'm sure Mikey thought that they were going to win that game versus all the Ohio State guys. I don't know if you saw on Instagram after the game, Mikey was posted a selfie video kind of making fun. And then at the podium today, Terry had to walk up with the Sandersville Michigan jersey.
Sandersville asked him a question about it. It was cool. I love all that kind of college football rivalry.
Sanders still got the turnover, and then Terry scored a touchdown. Right away, you saw that. You saw that back
We
and
saw
forth.
something with the Bama LSU a couple weeks ago, didn't we? With Jayden?
With Jayden and all those guys?
Yeah,
I don't know that I saw it, but...
Or at least they're all talking about it. It's fun.
Listen, I think it's when you have guys who are able to have fun like that. Who was it that had to walk in?
You know what makes it a lot more fun?
When you win 42-19.
Michigan, Ohio State,
Yes.
right. Like if this was the Cowboys game, I'm not sure anybody's pulling that jersey out and doing the bit.
All right, let's get to Game Balls and Goats, brought to you by Oarsman Alexandria. Oarsman of Virginia.
Getting it?
I want you to do the read.
There's no read.
There's always a read.
Oarsman Automotive of Virginia.
Yeah.
There it is.
There you go. I got a text from them. It's 1 year to date yesterday that I bought my car from them.
Oh, really?
They got a text congratulating me. Thank you for buying it.
Congratulations.
Feels good.
It's great.
Feels good. Love the car.
Yeah, they're great over there.
I was going to give Biaggi a little love. Okay, let's go Game Balls.
Give them some love.
I just did.
Okay. Game Balls, Jayden, B-Rob, Terry. Like, I got a lot of
Cornelius Lucas.
Yeah. I think the whole offensive line was quite good.
Yeah, I mean, but particularly I want to point out Cornelius Lucas. I think you saw with Trent Scott playing at right tackle how this offense looked different. There are a ton of factors in it. It wasn't just Trent Scott. Any NFL team that goes to their fourth tackle is going to struggle. That's just the way the NFL is. There aren't that many good tackles.
Right.
But Big Luke hadn't done a lot of practicing on the right side with this coaching
even when
staff.
he came off the field, he was limping pretty good. I don't know if you noticed that.
I saw. But at the same time, it didn't stop him from doing...
Just mauling.
You like that?
I know.
He
loves that.
Big Cornelius Lucas loves going to JP after wins and dropping it. You like that. So it's a lot of fun. And on day that Kirk threw 2 real bad interceptions.
He had 4 on the day.
I know, but 2 of them were bad.
Dante Fowler, I thought there were a couple moments in this game where it seemed like the momentum was really turning.
Yeah.
And everything, the various parts of the team responded, so that didn't happen. But there was a situation in the third quarter where Tennessee might have gotten to the red zone. If not, they were
when he should have had a sack, or they could have gotten a sack.
However it gets ruled, I bet they'll change it. But he had a vicious hit on Will Levis on second down that I thought for sure was going to get called for rubbing. It was like a cross-body
it was 2 straight because you had one right down the play right before. Who was it? I think it was a Wagner right in the middle.
Right.
Kind of suplex, or Jeremy Chin. That's what it was.
Yeah, no,
kind of suplex the receiver
on the
as well.
deep catch on the catch. Yeah. But so Fowler makes the play on second down, which to me is a sack. I get that maybe Levis is trying to run.
They're calling they called it a run.
And then on the next play, you have a bad snap. Levis has to kind of run to field it, and then Fowler just buries him. So then all of a sudden they're kicking a deep kick there. And dude, Tennessee was really moving the ball there. Washington was kind of getting stymied early on in the second half.
Yeah.
That was a valuable part of the game to have a guy like Fowler make consecutive.
Did we say Terry McLaurin?
We said him briefly, but go back because I think we need to talk about Terry and Jayden.
Yeah, I think all the talk this week about getting the ball to Terry early was a real thing, and I think you saw it on the field. And like I said earlier, I think you see how this offense operates differently when he gets it. What I loved was that when on his second touchdown right down here, they lined him up on the outside. He was clearly in one-on-one coverage. I think it was Luke McCaffrey was in the slot, and they were able to run a fake rub and get Terry open on the little slant there. It's the same touchdown we saw earlier in the season with the one-step drop and throw. And I just think in these goal line situations, when you can get Terry in a one-on-one.
Was that the second or the first?
I think
the first was kind of the long drag.
Yeah, the first was the long drag.
So you're talking about the second one?
Yeah, that was right here. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think, we've talked about Terry being better than most corners that he's lining up against. And when you can identify that they're in one-on-one coverage, it's important to do that. And the fact that Jayden was able to look around and figure out what was happening, and the Titans weren't able to roll anything Terry's direction to cover. I love the whole play concept, and I love that they were able to get him the ball there. And that's where his value is with this team. He ran a couple of slants. They got the quick game going. It was great to see.
The catch he made on the first touchdown, I think, just because there was so much excitement for them to score, that catch was crazy. It reminded me of the Pickens touchdown catch when the Steelers came to town. It's kind of lost in the sauce here, but Terry finished 8 for 73 with 2 touchdowns. Was really good. I think we talked about Brian Robinson. You talked about that first run.
Yeah.
B-Rob finishes 16 for a $103 with a touchdown. Was really good. Busted the 40-yarder.
Chris Rodriguez, I think you got to give one to.
Yeah, dude.
That guy.
That's a guy. 2 games he's iced. This one and the Giants.
He's been yo-yoed and slip-snapped and up and down and left and right.
He keeps the right attitude about it.
He does. And to see what I love.
And maybe he didn't always, right? Like he's probably a dude that had to acclimate to news, because Ron drafted him and liked him, and he was getting playing time, and
then all
there
of
was
a sudden,
no chance his roster spot was in jeopardy, right? And then, hey man, you're cut. We'll bring you back. You're cut. We'll bring you back. They did it this past week.
Yeah. But what it was great about it was
impressive.
Was both that Chris Rodriguez was able to come in and average 7+ yards a carry, but also B-Rob looked really good today, right? Like, no one's saying anything, but he's been beat up. And they were able to take a game where they were up 35-12 in the fourth quarter and take a little bit of wear and tear off of B-Rob. They were able to get Chris Rodriguez going. And I think coaching-wise, it was a great move to do that, to try and save B-Rob a little bit. And also, I think it might be a little bit of a harbinger of things to come.
Carries too.
He did. And I think that when you're able to get more of those power backs moving the ball downfield, it helps this offense so much.
I think if that's a tighter game, they go back to B-Rob.
Of course, no question. But that's what I'm saying.
It's good to have options.
You have the option to do it, and he's proving in his limited opportunities to prove what he can do, and that's you got to do that.
When the line's blocking like that, it helps a lot.
It helps so much.
We haven't talked about Jayden that much yet.
Yeah.
25 of 30 for 206, 3 touchdowns through the air, another 9 for 34 and a touchdown on the ground. Did have the one pick. Maybe that ball was a little high. Maybe it was a little hot. Zach Ertz just got to catch that, or at least not patty cake it straight up into the sky over the middle.
You got to like that they had a 45 to 30.
Jayden was fantastic.
Fantastic.
And the offense was so efficient. I've been talking about this forever. Third downs, they were 9 of 14 on third down. Time of possession in this thing, 40-13 to 19:47. That is a winning. That's a winning recipe every time. Jayden, all the talk of Rookie of the Year, which I firmly don't care about, but like, you keep telling me you want somebody else. All the talk of like, oh, these other quarterbacks are ascending and Jayden's not. I think you're incorrect. And dude, he's not in competition with Caleb or Nix or anybody else.
No.
Like, the goal is for Washington to win games.
And be in the playoffs and have an opportunity to do that.
The kid has answered every question every time and just been so impressive.
And listen, he didn't have a couple of good games in the middle there. Clearly, that rib bothered him way more than everyone let on. We've talked about that enough. But to see him go out and be efficient today, he was, 25 of 30? Is that right?
25 of 30, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a 84% completion rate.
He had a 114.7 passer rate.
Yeah, I mean, and it wasn't just that he was efficient. It's that the balls were being delivered to the right place at the right time and on time with the right, velocity, speed, all those things. They were able to, I talked about B-Rob getting a little bit of a breather as that game went on. They were able to not run Jayden as much. He didn't have to drop back and throw as much. He'd have to take some hits. They came out and they ran the ball 45 times. They threw 30.
Right.
I like that ratio in a football game.
Sure.
And of course, a 42-19 game, you're going to be able to do
maybe
stuff
it's causation or correlation.
Right.
We understand all those things. I think Cliff deserves one.
Yeah.
I know, especially now that the Bears have fired Eberflus, we're going to start hearing this Cliff stuff. We're going to hear it. We're going to hear it till February.
Do you want to laugh about that?
I don't know the answer. I bet if you ask Cliff today, the answer would be hell no. Now, that doesn't mean that that's what the answer is in February or March, but if you ask him today, it'd be hell no.
I mean, Cliff running a college offense, Bears fans all, hating on Cliff and the Commanders and Jayden leading into that game. And, and I guarantee you if they hire him, there's going to be celebration on Miracle Mile. They're going to be excited about it. But that's how the NFL works. The one thing I'll say about Cliff, still getting paid by Arizona. I don't know that, who knows where his mind is.
That conversation is the ultimate let's table it because it's coming.
Of course.
We are fully cognizant because it's not, we've now heard Chicago. We're going to hear others. It's not going away, but we also don't know what's going to happen with it. I thought today he was really good. I thought throwing to Terry on the right side on the first snap was a very polite bleep you to a lot of critics.
I was listening to B-Mitch talk on the postgame, on the team postgame show, and he said it was an old school B-Mitch one finger salute, and I couldn't agree with him more. I mean, I don't think that he's a guy that is necessarily as invested in social media and the stuff that as much as maybe a previous coaching staff or head coach was.
Right.
But I do think that when there's that much noise, he hears it, and when it gets asked to him in the podium, press conference rooms and stuff like that.
Dude, their first 40-point game since week 7 against Carolina. This is now their third 40-point game of the season. Their 5th going over 30. Maybe their 6th going over 30.
It's
the offense is working, dude. And like pretty much everybody offensively, to me, Zach Ertz caught the touchdown, maybe tipped up the interception. We'll just call it even on that.
Yeah, I don't think Quan Martin, by the way, was the one that had the suplex on the long catch over here.
Yeah, I like that.
I watched
better
it.
Than the hip drop. And
what did it make you think about? It made me think about John Ridgway.
I know, that's what I was thinking of too.
I mean, it gets me.
When you install the hip drop rule, and so you're not allowed to just take them down, it almost forces you to like come up with another motion. I'm trying to think.
I like seeing Luke McCaffrey get involved in the offense a little bit. I mean,
Dude,
I think
McCaffrey and Sinnott had catches. Has that ever happened in the same game?
Well, I mean, it would have only happened this season, so.
Right. But I'm just trying to think. Both of them have so little involvement, frankly.
Ethan Cadeau pointed out black jerseys get a little bit of game ball. 28 points in one quarter of football because the last time they wore the black jerseys was a Hail Mary. Last play of that game, they had 21 in the first quarter here. They played pretty well in the black jerseys.
Hold on. But how does that... Yes.
That was a separate game ball.
Right. But I'm saying, how is that 28 points in one quarter?
Well, because the 15 minutes of NFL football play. The last play, the game ended with 7 points.
They scored 28. Just count it that way. Right? Like they scored. They were up 28-0 in this game. I don't know why we're counting the Hail Mary.
Because I was saying in one quarter of football, there was a 21 in the first quarter here,
right?
Plus the 7 from there.
Yeah, but that's not the same quarter.
But 15 minutes of NFL football. I don't know why are you picking nits with me?
That one doesn't make any sense.
It does make sense
because that was a different quarter.
It's still 15 minutes of NFL gameplay.
My only thing
we can't get through. This is a fun post game pod, and we can't get through without arguing.
Having fun. That just doesn't make any sense.
It does make sense. You just don't want it to.
The opening possession in the second half was god awful. I wrote that down. Ended up not mattering.
Yeah.
They had 2 penalties, and then shout out to Cliff for calling the Scott Turner avoid disaster playbook. It was like 3rd and 22, and he just it was like a little. I think he called a draw.
There were 2 real bad penalties, but it's also easy to do that when you're up 28-7.
Yeah, I mean, DQ probably deserves some credit. We were pretty harsh on him last week.
That's true,
rightfully. And
there weren't many.
Clearly, he brought him. He had the right message this week.
There weren't many game situation things that he had to do with this week.
No,
and I think that kind of helps, makes it a little bit easier to get to it. But yeah, he deserved. He played well.
The Noah Brown injury. I don't know how great it is. He looked pretty beat up. We've seen rib injuries, but going into the bye is the best time for it.
Yeah, it's the best time for it.
But who knows?
They came out of they've been super beat up, and they came out of here without any added injuries to it.
Brown,
other than Noah Brown, I'm saying but you didn't see Jayden get nicked up again. B-Rob wasn't limping off.
Jayden, it's funny because obviously they try to protect their guy, but he is so much. He's clearly so much healthier now than he was.
It's just so clear, and the runs up the middle are where you see it. Where he's not turtling the second that he gets around bodies. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
We get to
I don't really have goats and stuff. Do you?
Gonzo.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sure.
I mean, that's an easy one. Oh, I don't know if it's a hat tip or game ball or anything, but Tyler Ott had a rough week last week. A couple bad snaps. Rebounded. It's important to point out when those guys make mistakes and we call them out for it. It's nice to see him rebound. It's good that we didn't have any Cheeseman flashbacks to those things. So that was good to see.
I think Sammerstill.
Yeah,
but you talked about him. Yeah. I think that might have been what started. Luvu Wagner. Chin was really good. Tennessee figured out a way to get him deep in coverage multiple times, which is not his strength. I thought he did okay. I thought he got away with one right here on a pretty physical.
That was the Chickaconquo one.
Yeah, pretty physical.
He definitely got
coverage, but the other team's got schemes too. So Chin's been so good for them. All right, I think we're good.
Yeah, let's get to the stuff.
Okay, so
stuff is brought to you by MGM. BetMGM, that's where we get all of our numbers from, all of our bets from. Go to MGM National Harbor, Tap Sportsbook, our natural habitat in
it's the best place
in the sportsbook. It's incredible. We'll start with 100 chips. Big 100 chips week for both of us.
Just keep it simple.
I came in
big winners.
JP
you
came in
late it though, right?
JP came in at -400. He put all 100 on the Commanders to cover 5.5. They covered 5.5. He's up to minus 300 on the season.
Boom.
I came in
Simple
at
game. Minus 300.
I came in at minus 200. I parlayed the Commanders' win with Terry McLaurin over 4.5 catches at plus 110.
Hell, that hit midway through the second quarter.
Yeah, like early on in the second quarter, which was nice. You know, it wasn't a Malik Neighbors situation where the squeaky wheel got the.
Totally.
But there was so much talk about getting the ball to Terry early on in the game, and you know, throughout
line him
it
up on the left, and
exactly
all that stuff, right.
all the different things. I felt like he was gonna, break out. So that 100 chips got me 280. So I go from minus 200
you're
to
on plus side
80
again?
on the good side again.
There you go, big man.
I got to be honest. When I go with the crazy parlays, as dumb as they are in real life, in our little chips game, they seem to work fairly well.
Haven't you missed a couple of them in a row?
That's what's great about a parlay. You miss a couple in a row, all you got to do is hit one to get back in.
That part is true, but to be like, yeah, I think I do really good at these. You're 1 in 4?
No, way better than that.
This season, I'm saying, not
No.
totality. I know
I've
you've hit some big
I've hit
ones.
2 big ones this season.
Okay.
I ended up going negative chips when I just started picking one winner. When I picked.
Don't do the boring stuff.
Yeah.
Leave the boring stuff to me.
Steak and everything else you get. I'll take the other side. I'll take the rib cap. Let's get to over-unders. We're tied at 4-4. There's 4 left in the season.
All right.
We'll start.
What do we have today?
We had Jayden Daniels over under 214.5 yards.
Damn, that got close.
We
but not
both
home,
went the
right?
over, but
What do you get to
206?
206, right.
So we both lost that one. Next up, we did team rushing yards.
Because we weren't sure about B-Rob.
Because we weren't sure about B-Rob. We won with 115.5.
Well, that wasn't. We weren't sure. Vegas had no lines.
No,
either,
yeah,
right?
that was. That was the whole point of it. I don't know what the team ended with, but it was certainly over.
They ended with like
115.5.
2 bills.
Yeah,
dude.
I mean, it was back. It was harkening back to the days of early in the season when they were going through.
They finished with 267 rush yards. Now, a lot of that is C-Rod late in the game. He went 13 for 94.
C-Rod had 94 yards.
Still counts,
that's impressive.
right.
And then the deciding factor here was the fan pick, which was over under 0.5 missed field goals.
Oh,
I went under. JP went over. We talked about it pregame.
I was not a Gonzo truster.
You were not. Pregame, we were JP was down here watching. I was up in the press box watching Gonzo warm up, and he had a 2-way miss going left, right, center, short, long. there wasn't a whole lot of good kicks in that pregame warm up.
No.
I wasn't particularly confident once we got there. He missed 2 kicks. JP ends up winning this week. 1-0.
So I'm up. We're getting down the stretch here.
Yeah, you have a commanding 5-4 lead.
Commanding.
With 4 games left.
4 games left. All
so
right.
I mean,
now how does it work? If one of us wins over unders and one of us wins chips, is that just an equal? Like, I won one contest, you won the other kind of thing?
yeah. Well, rock scissors paper for it to see who wins.
Well, what if somebody gets a Benji bet?
That would be that would certainly be the deciding factor. Speaking of which, we have the Benji bet. I picked 27-16 Commanders. JP picked 26-20 Commanders.
I'm asking this honestly. Benji bet is not sponsored. It's sponsored on the way in, not the way out.
There you go.
Got it.
Like everything good. So if you want to sponsor it on the way out,
good.
we're waiting for you. We both thought that the Commanders were going to cover, obviously in our 100 chips. I think we both kind of thought it might be a little closer to the
Well, I didn't have the
number.
42 part of this.
No,
I thought
we
Tennessee's
both.
defense would slow them down a lot more.
Well, I mean, we both were right around we both were pretty close with Titans score. You had 20, I had 16.
Yeah.
I thought the Commanders' offense was going to look good. I didn't think it was going to look like it did today. I don't think they were going to force the turnovers that they did.
What did we each have? I had a narrow cover, right?
You
Like
had 26-20. 26-20. I had 27-16.
Okay.
So, I mean, we both had them
Flirted with
covering, so we were right. Yeah.
Flirted with it.
We flirted with it. Let's get to what makes you smile, which is
I have like a whole paragraph written down.
for what makes you smile.
Yeah, you can start.
I'm
got a lot.
excited about that. What makes you smile?
You experienced all of it.
So did I. I mean, we both had a lot of fun if you're talking Caps game.
No, but that's another thing.
Yeah.
But
Dominion National, what makes you smile is brought to you by Dominion National. Visit them at
teethkeepers.com.
teethkeepers.com. There's a lot of singing in this podcast today.
Moana.
Yeah. Visit them
Frozen.
at teethkeepers.com where they provide high-value dental and vision benefits for individuals. Enroll today and save. teethkeepers.com.
It's trying to make fetch happen, man.
It's happening. I'm not even trying. It's happening.
Go ahead.
I saw a hilarious Instagram reel comparing the AFC East to, is that Mean Girls?
Yeah.
How, like, the Patriots were Regina George, where they were on top for a long time, and now they're thrown under the bus.
That.
The Bills are like, who's the...
Lohan?
Yeah, Lohan.
Yeah.
I don't know
the
the
names of
up-and-coming ones.
else.
I don't know the other two, but Dolphins and Jets were the other two. One
That's
of them
kinda funny.
Yeah, it was, anyways, pretty
Look
funny.
at us talking Mean Girls.
Moana, Frozen Mean Girls. You're getting the full spectacle here.
We're showing everything.
Today was the My Cause, My Cleats.
Yeah.
I think the Commanders do a really good job with it, both with players and coaches. Basically, the players and coaches get to paint their cleats, especially to support the charities that they support. There's a wide variety of them. They then auction off those cleats, the players sign them. It's a very cool initiative the NFL does across the league.
Well, and dude, players used to do this, and the NFL would fine them.
For
And then
wearing the
somebody
crazy
finally
colors.
was like, yeah, why don't we just encourage it and let them wear it and raise money for charity?
But what I think is cool
No,
is
they're
that
showing some. Cool.
Not every team, and maybe they do now, so forgive me, I don't follow every team in the NFL. Not every team allows the coaches.
How dare you?
How dare me? Not every team allows all the coaches to do them as well.
Yeah.
It's cool seeing DQ up there with them. I just think it's a fantastic thing the league does, and it's very cool. And quite frankly, I like the guys swagging out a little bit.
If you're
and getting to
watching
do what
on
they
the
wanna
stream,
do.
they're showing a ton of the shoes right now, which
I mean,
are dope.
They're very,
if
very
you're
cool.
Listening to this, go check us out on YouTube or the app, and you can look at all the shoes.
Yeah,
They're cool.
absolutely. So that was
OG
that made
Bobby
me smile.
Johnson. I was down here talking to him, and he was wearing the his cause is Movember, men's health. Men's.
Remember when we had to do Movember?
That's why I told him about that, and gosh, we looked awful.
One of our coworkers is
Brian
doing
Potter, we blame you.
Yeah, Brian Potter. Do you think Potter still watches or listens?
I don't know, but he's the reason we ended up having to do that. I know that. I'm happy we raised some money, and it's a great cause, but we looked terrible.
Terrible. We looked like we didn't belong within 500 feet of a
I feel
school.
like we have so many. I don't think you can say that on the street. I feel like we have so many pictures from that era too, and they all just sucked.
They're terrible.
But shout out to My Cause, My Cleats. Very good cause.
What made you smile? I'm excited for
I
JP's
got a lot.
paragraph.
Well, we should start with the Caps game because
Absolutely.
we have always said, long before employment changed, you and I have said that Caps in-game production, Caps games are the most fun to go to. They do such a hell of a job.
Incredible
with it.
job.
And that remains the case.
And the Caps might be the best team in hockey. Who knows? They're going to get possibly the greatest goal scorer in the history of hockey back in a couple of weeks. There's a lot of exciting things happening down on at Cap One Arena.
I've heard 2 dates. You want some incredibly unsubstantiated Caps insider
I don't think we
reporting
should
from
do
me?
this.
Why?
Go for it.
I've heard Christmas time. How about if I leave it open?
I've
heard 2 very specific dates. DM me for details. I don't know anything. I'm hearing this from people that don't know anything.
I might DM you.
Okay. I'll tell you. All right. But no, so the Caps game, I went with my buddy Jamie Gillespie. Shout out to Jamie. People might think that I had like some juice or something. I did not. I have zero juice at Caps games. And we're in his box, and the suite attendant just came up to us and was like, hey, anybody want to go? Your suite's been randomly selected. Does anybody want to go ride the Zamboni?
Very cool.
And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. And I said to the lady, I was like, can I go? She's like, we prefer children. And I was like, oh, all right, fine.
I would have. I was at the game. JP texted me that this was happening. He sent me pictures of his daughter out. I thought it was very cool. Had I known that you were trying to,
I wasn't trying. I was more like asking hypothetically,
hypothetically.
like if there was like a weight.
That would have been amazing.
But so I also thought that. So my 2 daughters were there. I thought my 2 daughters have no chance because my buddy, whose box it is, had his son with him, and that's clearly the 1 seed.
It's his box.
He's paying the freight, right? But his son had a buddy. They didn't want to split them up. Then there were 3 high school kids, or a high school kid and 2 college kids.
They're too old for that.
I thought for sure they'd want to do it. They were too cool for school. So then it gets to me, and little parenting 101 here. Hope nobody's watching. I had both daughters there.
That's difficult.
How do we split this up?
Oh, now we know who JP's favorite is.
No,
I'm kidding.
Did you know that you have to be 8 years old or older to ride the Zamboni?
Oh, that is great info.
Well, that's not true, but I made that up and said that to my little daughter.
You know what?
So
I would have believed it. I would have believed it.
But she got a stuffed animal. She got a Slapshot stuffy. So everybody's happy.
Everyone's happy. Yeah. That's a big time win.
But shout out to the Caps. But that is not what made me smile today. So the press box is like right there, and we sit there, and oftentimes the people in front of us can be quiet. They can be annoying. They can be all sorts of things, right?
Yes.
But dude, the people in front of us today were awesome, and a number of things made me smile. So I'm going to shout out a number of things. We had this one dude that was sitting right in front of me at Gime he considered himself Cliff Kingsbury. He was calling every play, kept screaming when there was one-on-one man coverage on the outside. And now sometimes when the play he called, they did something else and it worked, he's like, yeah! You love that guy.
That's the perfect kind of fan.
Totally.
I love that. And Yeah, the guys were cheering and loud.
Well, and then we had these dudes that turned around and looked at me and Mitch, and they had Beltway Football on their phone, and they were showing it to us. I got a picture of it. I'll post it on Instagram later. I don't know your names, fellas, but thank you for listening and paying attention.
Tweet us, DMJP.
Yeah. And I'll tell you when Ovi's coming back.
It was very cool. That whole group of fans in that section right there, I'm not sure exactly what section it is, but looks like 207 maybe?
Yeah, 207, maybe 206.
You know, we're up there in like
That's
fish in a
probably where
fishbowl.
we are right there.
Yeah, I see Ethan Cadeau right there. He's waving at us, actually, as he's looking down. I feel like fish in a fishbowl quite often as fans are tapping on the glass and trying to say hi. When you guys turn around and yell and we're able to acknowledge you, it's very cool. So
you guys can come through. Are you waiting on us?
Yeah, come on through, guys.
Thank you. Thank you for asking.
It was very cool. That was a lot of fun. It was very cool.
My two last things, and then we'll get out of here, because clearly we got to get out of here. At a number of points. Now, this happened throughout the stadium. I don't only want to give credit to 207 or whatever the section was, but they did it a lot. There were a lot of Terry chants. Terry. And then when Terry did his avail at the podium, he said how that, when he hears his name being chanted, actually energizes him. And I just thought that's pretty cool, because that's indirect. That's not a, doing like they're chanting his name. He hears it. He recognizes it. I love that. But the last thing,
I have one add-on at the end when you do this.
That's
Go
fine.
for it.
I'm telling you, the section was rocking, and there was a kid kind of on his mom's shoulders, and he was like right up against, he was kind of against the wall, which is just below where I was sitting, so I can hear it. And this is a child, like a 7-8-year-old is my guess. And I think it was a he. Starts, but he's got like the hat and the hood, so I couldn't really tell.
Yeah.
He's a person, regardless, right? and they start this just, let's go Commanders. That chant, which is like the most simple, wholesome. There were some other chants that aren't as wholesome that we couldn't say on the stream, right?
Well, we might be able to, but we won't.
But it was this child that started this, just sitting on their mom's shoulders, and he just kept doing it, and it got a little steam, and a little steam, and a little steam, and then like this whole area, like kind of this corner of the end zone lower bowl, was doing the Let's Go Commanders just based off this little kid chanting it. And dude, they're building something here again for fans. And then you come out and drop 40 on Tennessee, and you're beautiful. 8-5 going to the bye. Like, there's all these like symbiotic things happening at once, and it was really cool. It made me smile.
We talked about this lower bowl being really good. The flag waving was awesome. I don't know if these sections have been doing it a lot, and honestly, I only saw on this side of the field because we are right up here.
We're kind of limited where we can see.
But at the end of the first quarter, going into the second quarter, the Commanders had the ball inside Titan territory when the quarter ended, and everyone up around the stands were doing the waving, like, come on down. I think it was De'Ami Brown, I'm not sure. He kind of got into it and was like, yeah, and I thought that was awesome to see. After the turnovers, you had Luvu pumping up the crowd. Yeah. The crowd was really, really good today. Yeah. And when you're out there winning, it's a lot of fun. And
totally.
There's some big home games coming up, and
Atlanta and Philly are going to be massive games.
I have no doubt that the crowd's going to show, because it's been really, really good this year.
My charge at this point, and listen, I recognize there's dollars involved.
Of course,
there's ticket brokers involved. Like, there's a lot of complicated factors. Let's try to keep Eagles fans out of this joint. Week 17 or 18.
Week
17.
16. Cowboys are 18.
No.
Week 16. Eagles week 16. It's December 22nd, that game. And, that Falcons game could be real big. That's a question mark whether that's going to be a Saturday or Sunday game.
I know we talked about the Eagles game getting flexed. I've been told in pretty uncertain terms it's going to stay Sunday afternoon.
Good. Good. I like that. I like that a lot better.
All right, let's go. Listen to the pod. Watch the pod. It's on the app. It's on YouTube. It's everywhere you want. We'll be back. I don't know, Tuesday, Wednesday.
We'll be back on Wednesday with a bye-week pod for you.
Oh, yeah.
There might be a little bit of
We're coming in studio, right?
We're coming in studio on Tuesday to tape it, but we'll have it out Wednesday. Probably have a little bit of a lull as we get to the weekend of the bye week. We're lulling.
Yeah, we're going to be very lulled.
But we'll be back with all the stuff you love.
Of course, my throat's going to start hurting before the bye week.
Just a little tickle. It'll be okay.
We'll be all right. Let's go. Ready?
Yeah. If you made it this far, we owe you a beer. 8-5 going into the bye is incredible.